He was once Hollywood's golden boy, the eccentric outsider who ruled the box office. Captain Jack Sparrow, Edward Scissorhands, Sweeney Todd, Grindelwald. But in the blink of an eye, Johnny Depp went from international treasure to persona non grata. And now, for the first time since being fired from Fantastic Beasts, he is speaking out, and he's not holding back. It all began in 2020. He was still riding the long, bitter wave of his legal battles with ex-wife Amber Heard. A brutal libel case against a British tabloid, which had labeled him a wife-beater, ended in a devastating loss. The ruling sent shockwaves through Hollywood. But for the studio, it was the final straw. Just one day into filming the third film in the Wizarding franchise, he was abruptly told to step down. No warning, no public defense, just silence, followed by a short, sterilized studio statement. He will depart the franchise. We thank him for his work on the films to date. And just like that, the man who brought the Dark Wizard to life was gone, replaced, forgotten in press tours, erased from the story. At the time, he kept his composure. He posted a carefully worded note on Instagram thanking fans for their support. He claimed the decision to leave was his. But behind closed doors, he was furious. Now, in a bombshell interview with a UK newspaper, he is finally opening up, and, well, the gloves are off. It literally stopped in a millisecond, he says. Like, while I was doing the movie, they said we'd like you to resign. But resignation wasn't what they wanted. Not really. What was really in my head was, they wanted me to retire, he continued. And that's when he snapped. FKU, he said, recalling the moment. There's far too many of me to kill. If you think you can hurt me more than I've already been hurt, you're gravely mistaken. This wasn't just about a film. This was about a man, shattered, humiliated, and cast aside by the very industry he helped build. Once a regular on every red carpet, he found himself shunned, dumped, booted, deep-sixed, cancelled in his words, and Hollywood didn't blink. The man who once carried a billion-dollar franchise on his back was suddenly unemployable. The man who turned eccentricity into gold was now branded toxic. But if there's one thing he has always been, it's resilient. Instead of begging for another blockbuster, he turned to Europe. He took a role in a French historical drama where he played a king and received a 7-minute standing ovation at the Cannes Film Festival. Then, he stepped behind the camera for the first time in 20 years, directing a biopic about a famous Italian painter. The project marked not only a return to filmmaking, but a rebirth. He was no longer chasing approval. He was building his own legacy, away from the spotlight that had burned him. And yet, the pain still lingers. The firing wasn't just professional. It was personal. It came at a time when he was at his most vulnerable, accused, ridiculed, and dissected by the public like a museum exhibit. Even though he won the defamation lawsuit in 2022, the televised trial laid bare every scar, every wound, every broken piece of a once enigmatic man. Yes, the verdict brought vindication, but the damage? It was already done. You can't hurt me more than I've already been hurt, he says. Not with courtroom verdicts, not with headlines, not with contracts lost. For him, the industry isn't just a business. It was once home, and now it's a battlefield. His story is more than a celebrity scandal. It's a cautionary tale about fame, media, and honestly, the brutal machinery of public perception. In the court of law, he won. In the court of public opinion, the jury's still out. And, that's what hurts the most. Because behind the eyeliner, behind the eccentric roles, behind the brooding mystery, is a man who simply wanted to be heard. a man who played by the rules until they changed the game entirely. Today, his fans remain some of the most loyal in the world. They followed him through the highs of pirates, the heartbreak of his personal life, and now, his creative rebirth. But even his most diehard supporters admit, the scars run deep. Will he ever return to a major studio set? Will the studios ever apologize? Unlikely. He has moved on, not because he wanted to, but because he had to. So now he walks a new path, one not lined with studio budgets or billion-dollar franchises, but with independent spirit and unfiltered truth. The version of him we see in 2025 is not the same man from 2005. He's older, wiser, a little more damaged, but no less defiant. "There's far too many of me to kill," he says again, not as a threat, but as a promise. You can cancel the role, you can blacklist the actor, but you can't erase the artist. And for him, the show isn't over, it's just beginning. If this shocked you, moved you, or gave you a new perspective on this story, hit that subscribe button. We bring you the real stories behind the headlines, the raw truth behind the PR spin, and the voices that Hollywood tries to silence. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter in the ever-evolving saga of fame, power, and redemption. Because in a world that loves to cancel, we tell the stories that refuse to be erased. Subscribe now, before the next scandal breaks.